This is Karen from NewClevelandRadio.net. This show is sponsored by Donnie Productions. Welcome to The Rant with Barbara Rose Brooker, an author of not just 12 books, but 12 books and counting. She's the founder of the first Age March in history, which you can see on YouTube. And I believe right now we've had over 80,000 views. So please join us at agemarch.org. Barbara believes that everyone at every age is magnificent and everything is possible. And we were just talking about that. After a very short hiatus, the rant is back. Now, here's Barbara.
Thank you, Karen, for the introduction. And I'm so excited today for our next guest, Larry Hayes. 81, he's the CEO and founder of Active Over 50, AO50, a leading digital publication. Welcome, Larry. So happy to have you here. Here's my first question. First of all, I love the work you're doing. As I said, I think you're an explorer of a whole genre of people, 50 up to 100 and plus. Tell us about your mission to help older people enjoy a longer, healthier, and more meaningful life. Why and how during the pandemic you turned the scoop from a print newsletter to a digital magazine. That is amazing to me. And what do you want people to know?
Well, thank you, Barbara, for having me today. I really appreciate that. It's a long story. It's actually a long journey. I've been very fortunate in life that I've been able to have a purpose at a very young age. When I joined the Air Force at age 17, I was just drifting like most teenagers. But I soon learned very quickly that without a college education, you were really handicapped. In fact, as a airman third class, I was making $70 a month while that second lieutenant, who was only 4 years older than me, was making $400.
Oh my God.
The only difference that I felt really was a college education. So that was really my motivation after my service of 4 years in the Air Force. I went to college. And at that time, I really knew that I wanted to be a journalist too. I really did. But, things happen. And hey, I joined the Peace Corps as a teacher in India. That's where I met my wife.
Yeah.
We're now been married 53 years.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
wonderful.
Everything changes your life, but I think you really do need a purpose. And I think everybody can have a purpose. So I really believe that. So when I was studying, after the Peace Corps, I was studying at Syracuse University in grad school. And that's really, I decided I really wanted to be a publisher of all things. I felt that was really, my purpose in life. And of course, things change and, life has its own ups and downs. And I wound up in California and actually became a newspaper reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, which I really enjoyed. And then I decided I had to make a few more dollars, they really didn't pay very much. So I became a copywriter for an advertising agency. And so I got into the advertising marketing world. And very briefly, I joined several companies as a marketing communications manager. And eventually I left that at age 43 because I felt ageism at 43, by the way. Barbara, you're very big on that. But I looked around to my colleagues, and guess what? There weren't anybody, or very few people, even 50, in the advertising marketing world.
Oh my God. When was this, Larry?
This was in the, probably the 70s and 80s. In the 70s and 80s. So I recognized then that I had no future in this field if I was going to try to make a career in marketing and advertising. And besides, I wanted to do my own thing. So at age 43, I actually started, my own company, but it was a marketing advertising agency and helping startups, high-tech startups in Silicon Valley become successful. However, the dream in the back of my mind, I knew someday that I was going to become a publisher. I really felt that. So at age 65, I got out of the advertising marketing world because actually it got out of me. It left me a long time ago. And, but I felt at 65 and I wanted to really develop a magazine. It was a print magazine at that time for the boomers and seniors, because I felt that was a market that I was old enough to relate to, by the way, and I could also make some contributions. So at age 65, I did launch Active Over 50 print magazine, a quarterly magazine at that time. And all of my friends said, Larry, you're stupid. You ought to be doing digital. Online is the future. Well, I'm glad I didn't do online at that particular time, because I really felt, you know, that you needed to do the print and then you could transition into digital. So very fast forward, COVID was a very turning point for print. I think print is dead, frankly. I think COVID was the final nail for print publications. And during that time last year, I was able to make the transition from print to digital online. And the thing about it, you know, as I mentioned earlier, you can do anything at any age. So here I am, 81, 80 years old, saying, gee, how do I learn something new? I think that's extremely important. You're never too old to learn anything new. So I learned how to do my own print publication, by the way. I learned how to design and produce it and send it out.
How? How did you learn how?
Well, I had some good help. There is you may know this publication or this company out there called Constant Contact.
Yes, yes.
They are an email marketing company and they are super. They really are. They help me design, produce, and answer any questions I have about producing an online publication. Now, I had the advantage, of course, of all the background of a print publication. So it was a lot easier for me to learn, I think, from online. But still, it was a learning process.
Yes. Yes, a big one.
And one other thing. 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I learned to do a website, my own website.
Ooh.
And here again, with the help from Constant Contact. So
Is
you can do
that,
it. Anybody can do it.
Alma, if they have what you have and you talk about purpose, because don't you think purpose mutates? It changes. Never give it up.
Purpose will keep you alive,
Yes,
especially as you get older.
yes.
You have to have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. You really do. Playing golf all day, even playing tennis all day, which I love, is not going to do it either. And so I think anybody can get it, but I wanted to make a comment about purpose. One of my favorite videos of all time, which by the way, I have posted on my website, activeover50.com. It is a video by Clint Eastwood and Toby Keith.
Yes.
And they are good friends. And supposedly Toby Keith and Clint were playing golf one morning. And Clint says, I turn 88 tomorrow. And Toby says, what are you going to do? Clint says, I'm going to do a movie at 88. Remarkable story. So Toby was so inspired, he actually wrote a song called Don't Let the Old Man In. And it is remarkable. I love it. In fact,
I love that.
it's on the website, and I encourage everybody to check it out. You know, it's basically about go outside, live, do something, have a purpose.
I love that.
So all of this, I'm so impressed by it. It's been on my website for about 3 or 4 months, and I plan to keep it there, you know, as long as I can. Very inspiring.
I love your website. And will you tell people again the website?
activeover50.com.
I
Yes,
love
go
that.
on, yes, go on activeover50.com. I love that, active over 50, because don't you think, Larry, that a lot of people will say, well, it's okay for him to say he looks great, he feels great, he plays tennis, but I'm in a wheelchair. And really, the being active is an internalized condition, isn't it?
It is, and I understand that comment. By the
Mhm.
way, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a captain and a player for USTA tennis teams. Have
Yes.
for 40 years. I have players now on my team with who come and play with artificial needs. They're out there.
Oh,
Some of them are out there playing with reconstructed surgery on their shoulders. Some of
oh,
them can't hear. They got hearing aids. They can barely hear. Some of them can barely see, but they're playing. They're staying active. It's not what you, as I always say, let's try not to focus on what you cannot do, but focus on what you can do. So, like that
Wonderful.
person in the wheelchair you talked about, maybe he can just go around the block. I was at I also walk 2 or 3 times a week at a track in Campbell, California, where I live.
uh-huh.
The other day, there was a woman pushing her father in a wheelchair around the track.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
I also saw a lady
well,
who was probably in her maybe 50s, 40s, and her father apparently may have had a stroke, by the way, but she was encouraging him to walk around the track. She was holding on to him, on his shirt in the back.
oh,
I was so inspired by that. So that's what I'm talking about. Yes, I've been fortunate. Yes, I have been lucky that my health has been good. I know that, and I'm blessed. But you can do it, and a lot of people do it.
right. And it wouldn't, maybe your health wouldn't be good if you didn't feel that anything can happen, that you didn't have the purpose. So I think the inner life drives the outer life as well, or what you're going to do, don't you think?
I really do. A few years ago, when I was doing my print magazine, and I was talking with my CPA, my accounting guy, and he says, "Larry, why are you doing this? You're not making any money. You're not getting rich. You're not getting younger, and it's a lot of work."
It is a lot of work.
My reply to him was, "It helps keep me alive. That's not
Yeah.
important. If I can help one person by what I write or what other people write in my publication, it's all worth it. It really is." So that's what it's about too.
Well,
Not
I think too, Larry, with your publication, you are helping so many people. You're giving the voices. You're giving new voices by 50 plus, because you have all ages and all different content and different people writing on different topics. So it is really amazing, which brings me to the next. Well, I was thinking too, Jeff Bezos says big things start small. And it really is true, isn't it? You can just have an idea. So I want to know too, what inspires you? What, what, well, what inspires you to keep this magazine going? Because you must have new ideas for it all the time. It's not just a magazine.
no,
It's the voices that you're letting into the world.
no, you're absolutely right, Barbara. A few years ago, I was talking with Walter Bortz. He is my idol, by the way. I mentioned him earlier, but
Yes.
he mentioned something to me that has stuck with me for several years, many years now. And he mentioned, Larry, what you're doing more for this age group than all the doctors at Stanford put together. Now, Bortz is a doctor at Stanford. Okay, he was. And that kind of stuck with me because I never really felt that it was that meaningful. To be honest with you, I'm so busy trying to get this publication out on a monthly basis, by the way.
It's hard work.
Which as the print was quarterly. However, you know, it's more fun now than it was when I was doing print on a quarterly basis. I'm having more fun. But getting back to your question, you know, a few years ago, I was walking around my neighborhood and I made friends with this gentleman, probably maybe a few years older than me. And we were just talking, but he came up out of the blue and he says, "Hey, Larry, I want to thank you for that article that you had on health issues." And he says, "I really appreciate what you're doing." And that kind of stuck with me too, because I do get, you know, lots of people have commented, "Thank you, you know, you're spot on with this publication." But I don't do it for the ego. I do it. I do try to provide information that is helpful, that people can enjoy a longer and healthier and more meaningful life. And, and the articles, by the way, don't all come from me. By the way, Barbara, your article on ages a few months ago, actually, was one of the most read that I've ever produced.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
You really struck a nerve. So it's a lot of people like yourself and so many other people that contribute, and they want to share their stories. And I'm happy, you know, very happy to present their stories, because I think that's what really counts.
Well, Larry, I think that this is a sociological phenomenon. It's a sociological tribute to humanity, what you are doing. There are many, as an almost 85-year-old woman who wants to be a movie star, there are many attempts at, they call it overage, or there's all kinds of names, or how-to books on age and so forth and so on, but they're really not hitting the mark. They're very, in my opinion, they're still very dismissive. They're very stylized. What you're doing is you're really taking humanity, and all the different voices from 50 up, because we're living longer. 100 is going to be nothing soon, really. And you're giving voices to this whole genre, as I call it. And that's why it was an honor to write for you, because there are magazines who say that they're doing over 50, but they're really not. I'm going to say it right now. You are. This is a whole planet, a whole community. And it's just so wonderful, because the numbers still get a bad rap.
Well,
they really do.
Well, thank you for your comments. Those are very gracious.
Well, it's a wonderful magazine, and the stories are wonderful. And I think, oh my God, look at these people. She's 80, she's 90, she's 50, she's this. And they're not defined. They're people with voices. It's really important.
It is important, and I try to do what I can. I'm not the only voice out there, that's for sure. A lot of other people are doing good stuff too. And I really do, I want to make a comment and give kudos to AARP. I think they do a wonderful job. They really do.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to do what little I can do as often as I can, as long as I can. And I think that's the key.
You know, Larry, I heard you say something earlier, and you mentioned that you were asked why you were doing this. You're not making any money at it. And it goes back to that purpose. And I have the same question when people come to me and go, why do you sit in a studio all day long recording stories? And it gives me a purpose. It makes me feel good to be able to share your story, Barbara's story, and let people see our faces and know that, you know what, we're still here and we're not giving up. And that's important.
I think it's very important. And I
Mhm.
think as you get older, it even gets more important. I'll tell you a little story, Barbara. You're 84 now. I'm 84.
Four. Yes.
We're still young, by the way.
Of course.
We're doing great things. It's very interesting. Different age into different age categories. 80 is different than 70. Right?
Mhm.
When I was in my 70s, of course, I was playing tennis, and a lot of my players were in their 50s and 60s. So they really, yes, they saw me as maybe one of the oldest guys on the team.
Uh-huh.
They didn't really see me as, you're really old. However, when I turned 80 a couple of years ago, it was surprising that a lot of my friends, and these are friends, these people in their 70s, 75,
Mhm.
76, they all of a sudden said, "Oh, Larry, you play really well for a guy your age, and
Four.
I hope that I can play as well as you when I get your
Oh
age."
my God.
So I do think there is, as you get older, you get into these different categories. People put you in different,
I think that's a good point.
like the 80s, all of a sudden, whoa. Now, when I was 79, I'm the same player at 79
Right,
I
right.
was when I was 80, when I just turned 80. But all of a sudden, they saw me in a different light. So I think that's important too. But you know what, Barbara, that's okay. I'm
Mhm.
happy to do, if I'm a role model, which I think all of us are, I really
Exactly.
do. I think it's okay. And I think we ought to applaud that. And I think we do. We really
I
do.
think we do. I think we do. It's setting a pathway for others. Don't be afraid. Come out. Be 80. I know I get that too, and I think we all do. Wow, good for you for still writing. They say, oh, good for you. There's all these cliches and stereotypes which I really would love to go to Washington and legislate against some of them eventually. But I think what you said about the categories, that's, unfortunately true, but age does not define us. It does not, our work does. And what inspires you next for the magazine? What is next?
What is next? That is a very good question. What I think I really would like to do is take this national. I
Hmm.
can do that. I couldn't do that, by the way, when it was print. I really couldn't. The cost was prohibitive. Competing against, let's say, AARP, which I really don't compete with because Active Over 50, and the publication name, by the way, is The Scoop. We really are San Francisco based, but being online, it's much broader than that. It really is.
It's global.
It is global, and I
Yes.
think the opportunity, in all honesty, is to take the Scoop nationwide, more so than it is now, and that's really, I think it can be done fairly easy and
Oh,
inexpensive.
I think so.
So that's
I'm
that's
so
that's
glad
really
you
the goal,
said
is
that.
to expand the Scoop Active Over 50 nationwide, and why not globally? Lots of people. The information that is in Active Over 50, the Scoop, is generic. It's information that, I don't care where you live. You can live in Topeka, Kansas, or Whitewater, Kansas, or New York City, San Francisco. You can be in Australia or in any place in the world. A lot of that information is useful, helpful, and relevant. And I think that's really, as I look down the road and say, hey, where would I like to take this? That's what I'd like to do, is to get the word out and see if I can, more and more people sign up, and just kind of come up with a plan how to do that. It's not easy to do.
I'm so happy that you said that, Larry. I really believe this is a global
Mhm.
magazine. I really do. I'm so happy you said that. And I'll just say one thing that I found out from Age March. So many people from Nigeria and Pakistan, all ages, joined Age March because like you say, the issues and the voices are out there. So I think your magazine, Active, is very different, say, from ARP, that is a more static, stylized. Active over 50 is open. It's huge. So that's very exciting.
Well, thank you. You know, I am on Google and I've seen some research from Google, and it
Mhm.
shows that Active Over 50 is being read and distributed in China, a lot in China,
Oh,
also a
good.
lot in England, and also in getting more and more hits and distribution in India. Like you say, Barbara, it is national. The things that I try to write about and present in the scoop are universal. You know, it's
Yes,
all about, I don't care where you live. We all have the same desires. We all have the same health, you know, and job opportunities, but it's the information is the same.
it
And
is.
it appeals across the board. It really does. You know, it's
Yes,
really
it does. You're uniting the world. And I just think that it's wonderful. And I can't wait to read the next scoop. And I hope everyone out there will subscribe to the scoop. And again, before we end this wonderful conversation that we can have more and more and more of, I'm going to ask you just for fun 2 questions. No, 2 words. I'm going to give you 2 words, and I'd love to hear one answer. The first word is inspiration.
Dr. Boards,
Okay. And the second word is age.
ageless.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Larry. And again, everybody, Active Over 50. Active Over 50, the scoop. That's Larry Hayes' website. And you can read all about him too. Go to Google and read about him. We didn't have enough time to talk about all his achievements and where he's going and what he's doing. And everyone out there, make your dreams come true. Thank you so much, Larry and Karen.
Thank
we
you.
want to thank.
Go ahead. One last comment.
Sure.
Have fun. Life is
Yes,
short. Have fun.
yes. I don't want life to end. It's so wonderful.
Larry, on behalf of Barbara and myself, I have to tell you, I am so inspired. I did read a couple of the articles yesterday as I was preparing for today, and you both are right on spot. We are all the same people, no matter where we live. We all want the best for each other. So, again, Larry, thank you for joining us. Barbara, it's good to have you back, and the
Thank you.
rant will continue. Have a
Thank
great day, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Stay well.